Really? You're she said, I think you're rude, this one thing.
I got your email.
Don't pull up my campaign. No, I'll make it over that campaign.
But this is like
There you go.
Good morning, everyone. The regular meeting of the St. District Board of Election is now called to order. And before we proceed with that, every person or everyone in here with a cell phone, please put your cell phones on vibrate, please. The time is now 9:44. What's up in the car?
This is Liliana Belado de Leo. Roland Molinar. Present. Delbert. Bert Bryan.
Yes, three people in the audience, you have to hold it nice down. The first thing is about Brian Crowd making it nice. So please, if you have to clap, go outside and clap and whistle softly or whisper among yourself. Thank you.
This is Lisa Harris Moorhead.
here.
Rupert W. Ross Jr.
Here.
Raymond J. Williams.
Present.
Raymond, we have a full house, everybody's present.
Thank you. We would like to again thank everyone for coming today and anyone in the audience wishes to put your name on screen present, it's free to do so now. Speak loudly so we can hear you, please.
Mary Moorhead.
Bodil Simmons.
James Wilson. Scott Library.
Dolores Crichillo.
John Logier.
Krista Schlitterman.
Evelyn Bascom, concerned citizen.
Ira Hobson.
Louis Litton.
What's that?
Louis Litton.
Louis Smithon?
Litton.
Little, L-A-T-H-O-N?
L-E-A-T-H-N.
Okay.
Joy Pearson, Senator K. Park's office.
Okay. We proceed, and you know how many election staff here right now. There's one lady that was assigned to the location. I haven't seen how he switched out. This gentleman here is Mr. Fox.
VI Action Group.
Mr. Fox. Yeah, action group. Anybody else didn't get a name record? All right.
Media. Bill Costa with the VI Source.
All right, thank you. On our agenda this morning, we have agendas of business on A, B, C, D, and E. And we have two communications before I proceed from Mr. Lisa Wells, the joint chairman of the board, letter dated April 2nd, 2013 from myself, Adelbert Bryan, acknowledging the receipt of my correspondence on February 26, 2013, March 6, 2013, and March 25, 2013. We please be advised that no acceptance of the resignation of Lynn Maduro, James Wood, nor John Aronson is needed as per legal counsel. Secondly, at the joint board meeting on March 15, where you are present, a personal committee as well as the election committee reform committee was named to research all aspects regarding the filling of the position of supervisor and two deputies for the system, probably the interest fund of the election system of the Virgin, and the signatories is not under the purview of the joint board of elections. Your attention and cooperation are appreciated of Lisa Wells, joint board election, and extra copy board members. I would like to comment on this one letter because I showed today is April 2nd. At least somebody came out of the rip and went to speak to respond. And I'm saying that Ms. Wells is saying that as per legal counsel, I haven't seen any request or any written opinion from the legal counsel. I don't know which legal counsel told her that, but I'm going to have to write her back and ask her for which legal counsel told her or wrote anything as that concern. And related to the committee, I think Mr. Williams mentioned that the committee was formed and they should have had some information procedures as of last week, Wednesday. I will wait and hear Mr. Williams. He is the chairman of that committee. And thirdly, the interest fund signatories. I'm sure that Ms. Wells know, and some of us here should know, that even it is not the election system is under the purview of the joint election. Somebody misinterpreted the law because I think election system employees, particularly Mr. Aronson and deputy supervisors, are all employees of the board of election employees people. So if we are those people employers and somebody alone to have a signature and account whether it's the election system, I think somebody needs to look into the correction into the law because I don't see how a board would hire employees, an employee or employees are the only signatories. And the language in the law does not restrict another signature and account. So since Mr. Aronson is the only signatory to the election system fund, interest fund, somebody needs to explain when and how from as well she can tell us what the legal counsel has to say about that. Because thirdly, she didn't say that the attorney or the legal counsel told her anything about signatories to the interest fund. So Mr. Aronson is out and there's a need for any emergency situation in interest fund. Somebody needs to tell us we don't have a legal counsel here today. I have another letter here, April 2nd, to Adelbert Bryan Chains, St. Croix District, and Arturo Watson, St. Thomas, St. John from Lisa Wells, dated April 2nd again. Subject vehicles assigned to election system in the Virgin Islands. Please be advised that DE 1 on St. Thomas and DE 2 on St. Croix should only be driven by authorized government employees due to liability issues. I don't, again, I'm seeing a rip on mental operation here again because I haven't seen any written notices to any previous chair or joint chairs of this board since I've been here. And I know the vehicles are government vehicles, they were purchased government funds. And I need Alicia Wells as the joint chair to explain or give me a list of these so-called authorized government employees due to liability issues. And if she has that, I'm asked her to give me a copy of the insurance policy. If he was authorized and sent when this policy was put in place. I don't have no problem with the statement, but I'm going to have to write her to explain this letter because it's not clear what she's trying to say. And I don't know who are the authorized government employees. I think everybody on the board is elected to the board and they're getting paid out of the funds of the government of grants and they have to pay tax on those issues. So I want to have a clear understanding of who the vehicles are. And for the record, the vehicles that I know, DE2, I'm not the report, this two are missing, so that issue I'll be addressing it later. Before we go to the first thing, the advertisement, Mr. Williams, did you get a chance to finalize the criteria of the selection process for the filling of these vacancies, sir?
As I mentioned in our last meeting, I think it was last week, I gave the board an update as to where we're at in that committee.
Which board?
This district board.
The Wednesday, you said?
I said the last meeting
Yeah.
that we had here, when we had the last special meeting,
Yes, sir.
I gave an update as to where the committee was. The committee had just met for its first time the previous week, and I said that there was a series of activities taking place, and I did that update last week.
So how far are we since last week? Any completion? When will the final draft of notification for advertisement process take place?
I cannot answer that.
Huh?
I said I cannot answer that because that's premature. Right now, until the committee convenes to, I disseminated to the committee, the personnel committee information from the last meeting with dates and times and stuff like that, for the process that we're hoping to move forward with. Until I hear back from the committee that this is the way we're going to be moving forward, I can't take any further action.
I have a question.
Let's give a very good decision. How many members are on your committee that you share?
5,
Five. Who are the members? The record, please.
2 here and 2 on the numbers.
When you say two, you mean Mr. Moorhead and Mr.
Malin,
And the two in St. Thomas and John Joe?
Lydia Hendricks and Claudia Jordan.
So we can expect something in writing a report at any.
I just said to you that I said,
I heard you what you
well,
said.
but then, so that answers your question.
So then we don't have money to write it to.
Not to
Okay.
report here.
Mr. Webster.
I have a question about you have like the job duties of the two deputy supervisors that you're looking for. Are you still going to keep with the past practice that the St. Croix deputy supervisor is responsible for the fiduciary? Like holds the fiduciary responsibility of the entire board the way it is now, or are you going to reconsider and have
So that is not under the purview of the personnel committee. That is under the aspects of the supervisor's office. Has to determine what the activities of the deputies are.
Anybody have any questions?
Just stay the same way that I think.
Lady said that I answered the question clearly. I did not say that.
If I may, Mr. Webster, the last time there was an advertisement, the supervisor of election wrote up the criteria to be met by the applicants. That's the same criteria they use for himself and Mr. Weber, or any other person who applied for the position as supervisor of election or deputy supervisor. Maybe Mr. Williams might be premature to tell you yes or no, they want to continue with the old and past practice since we don't have a supervisor election available. And he said when they reach that stage, I guess it's a joint board meeting. The joint board meeting will not be sometime until, I believe sometime in April, weekend of Carnival in St. Thomas. So, Ms. O'Neill, oh, you have a question, man?
No.
Ms. Moorhead?
Yeah.
Yeah, just a comment, I think that would clarify something that, based on what Member Webster asked. According to law, the supervisor decides, that's, I think, what he was saying, decides what the two deputies do. So once we have a new supervisor, he or she may change that, so there's no way we anybody can answer that at this point. So you can't rely on the record premature, but it's because the law says that they have to, the supervisor dictates what the deputies do. So it could change based on that new supervisor's practice. For instance, if we got a supervisor that was really versed in fiscal stuff, he may take that, he or she may take that responsibility on and give other duties to his deputies.
And in addition to that, the last time we selected a deputy supervisor and supervisor, after the committee selected Mr. Weber, Mr. Abramson, then same person vying to be rehired as a supervisor election, asked the committee to reject Mr. Weber and retweak the criteria for a new deputy supervisor. That was changed and the committee voted to accept Mr. Weber as the person selected by the reviewing committee. So that's where we are now. Until the board meet Mr. Abramson, as I may, Mr. Williams, have the committee been able to speak to Mr. John Abramson since he's out at sick?
I didn't reach out to Mr. Emerson. I didn't have any reason to reach out to Mr. Emerson.
Okay. So you don't have a answer to that question. No,
The other answer is I didn't reach out to Mr.
okay, sir. Since we don't have anything further from the election of the positions of supervisor election and deputy supervisor election, we can move forward to item B, except that the last time Mr. Abramson was here, he made it clear to the committee that if he accepts the position, he was requesting a 5% increase of his current salary, and after October he wanted another 5%, which would have probably raised his salary to $120-something thousand. I remember clearly what he said. So the transcript will reflect that. So we have to find out sometime later when the records are available if in fact his salary was increased. Since Mr. Weber isn't here and no one can present, and Ms. Johnson's not here, and no one in the office that they have a documentation to show if in fact we receive those two 5% salary. The distinct difference between a 5% of 85,000 added and the difference new salary of 5% on 85,000, but the salary would have been a 5% of the new salary would have changed that. So I don't have that information.
Yeah, you do. Because we can't get a salary increase without us voting on one.
Well, I know,
There was no vote, wait a second, I can finish. There was never a vote to go along with what he requested. So his salary has remained the same.
well, that is a requirement that we do sometimes, but things change here without votes. I see documentation where people getting compensated without votes, and I haven't been to a meeting where things was approved on paper, so we're not going to spend a lot of time going through that. Because one time, Donna Thomas, the St. Thomas District Board member, Mr. Abramson sat right here, Mr. Bushotta was right here, and I was right there, Mr. Monsanto was right there, when they was asking how did she get to go to San Antonio, and it was finally brought up that Mr. Abramson paid for her to go out of Suffolk. Up to now I haven't seen, I don't know whose fund was you just mentioned, and until I see the writing whose fund was used, then I can only say what was mentioned, and again other individuals shout to other places. So when a meeting is taking place, the decisions are being made without any vote or any record, I can speak to what I have seen. Mr. Ross.
Just so that it could be on the record, the supervisor's salary was not changed. As a matter of fact, it was reduced based on the government's 8% deduction that established across the territory.
So are you saying that independent instrumentality, the Board of Election, reduced salary by 8% because the governor, the executive branch recommended that? What meeting, I don't recall a meeting being made that we agreed to reduce Mr. Weber's salary. So if they did that on their own volition, I think that's a contradiction to the board authority to set salaries acceptance. So if in fact the government executive branch suggested something an agency did or did not go along, as example, the territorial court, they reduce salaries, they reduce other issues. So Mr. Abrams, his salary was reduced, somewhere along the line, somebody produced a payroll document or a record to show that the salary was reduced. That's not a problem. Thank you, sir. The next item in the agenda is the ADA compliance with the election system office and a letter to Ms. Millen Esquire about the presentation made here. We had a special joint board meeting called by Ms. Lisa Wells, and it was not until the morning that Tiffany Barnes appeared there, unknown or unannounced, or not even on an agenda that was not prepared. And Ms. Wells, as the chairman said, she brought me to make a presentation. And also declare, this young lady mentioned that had she been here before, she would have recommended that we don't keep meeting in here and keep our meeting in St. Thomas. And I, in my mind, putting the pieces together, it was scholarly suspicious that she appeared here anyway without announcing the members and make that statement when in fact when I asked her the question, since this is not the government property, when is she and she going to notify Sunny Isles Development LLC that their property is not ADA compliant? And she said, well, that would be up to IO. So since it's up to us, I wrote a letter to Ms. Millen notifying her what Ms. Tiffany Barnes said, and I have not received any correspondence or answer from the attorney Millen, who is the property and procurement commissioner, relative to the compliance of ADA. Now all of us sitting here should know that if they employ office at ADA non-compliance thing. That is another way to stalemate and stagnate the purchasing of the new ES200 machine, because it will tell us that since our office is not ADA compliant like it was in St. Thomas, they have another way to come into compliance before they can use the Harvard fund. We need another certificate and a walkthrough that they did in St. Thomas for ADA compliance. And until we get the budget director or the OMB director give us an explanation as to why the money that was floated to buy new machines and keep primary and jury election can be explained to us what the $90,000 was spent for. I haven't seen any report from that, and nobody from the agency haven't shown no documentation as to what the money was spent for, and I can't get the information. I'm waiting on the Commissioner of Finance or the OMB to tell us what the $90,000+ was spent on. Was it spent on the election? Was it spent on a down payment for the machine? Or was it spent to conduct the election? That information is not available. So I can respond to that. Mr. Mullen,
Point of information. What you just said there, I didn't see it that way. You said if we are in non-compliance here in this office, it's another way to stalemate the DS200, purchasing of the DS200 machines.
we'll have a fund.
We'll have a fund.
Yes, sir. But in fact, if the Act 7324 that was mentioned about floating millions of dollars and $2.1 million was to purchase new machines and not primary and jury election, all I seen coming from Ms. Dudley was a letter to Mr. Abramson telling us that 95 or 90,000 was spent, but she didn't detail what it was spent on and for whom and for where. Nobody explained what happened to the $2.1 million out of the floating of the fund. Absent that information from Ms. Dudley or the Commissioner of Finance or from Mr. Abramson, who's been gone since last year, I don't know, and I don't have no access to that information. They have our money to detail, and that was right from the beginning. They claimed they couldn't purchase the machine because the St. Thomas St. John Board offices was in civilian property that were not ADA compliant. They moved on a contract to the new building, and they had a walkthrough recently, last month, I believe, when Stephanie Barnes told us they walked through and they're getting a certificate. We don't have a certificate now from the ADA compliance of this building. Because she mentioned the hallway, she mentioned the bathroom, she mentioned stickers in the walls, she mentioned all those things. So that's the responsibility of the Board of Election jointly with the Commissioner of Property and Procurement, who under Title 18 have the responsibility for procuring and getting
That's
contracts.
inaccurate.
Correct,
It's totally inaccurate.
Correct, you could make it correct what I'm speaking, sir. And if is that the case, and Ms. Barnes and federal ADA compliance people find a way to let us know, hey, your St. Croix office is not ADA compliant, then we will same statement that we had in St. Thomas. Yes, sir, Mr. Williams.
I just sent it, your information is.
Well, could you put the right information?
Could you correct it for us?
Yes.
But you all sat here in the joint board meeting when she laid out the process.
What is the process? Tell
I'm
me.
not gonna repeat the process because everybody was sitting here.
Okay, well, let's
And
move
that she
on.
gave us the information that we need to follow. First of all, this office is not ADA non-compliant. There's never been an assessment or survey done to say that this office is. She just made references to things that she saw, and that was her personal opinion.
Mrs. Barnes' employment and assignment and the document she presented us speaks for herself. She is the agent and the inspector and enforcement officer on the ADA or the governor's office. That's all I'm saying. And she told us when we were here what she observed. She said, I would have closed this office down and I would have suggested that from the future you keep the meetings in Thomas. She have not yet submitted any notification in writing, but she told us several things that are not ADA compliant. They brought through the hall with the doorway as you were way to the mechanized chairs and the wheelchairs and they brought through the hold on with the setting of the stool. And we can go right down to me, you see what she was talking about. I know something was fishy when that lady appeared here, unannounced or unannounced, on the agenda that they had weeks to tell us in a special meeting. So I'm not going to go back and quote with that, but she said that this is a motion, Mr. Williams.
Don't get recognized first.
Motion, next President provide.
Motion that if, basically if that, motion to, that if the machines are not purchased by September 2013, that we use only paper ballots in the 2014 elections as prescribed by law.
Second motion.
Roll call.
Done this machine craziness. Second motion.
Roll call. Mr. Williams.
It's crazy.
Point of clarification.
You have a roll call. When you finish roll call, you get back.
But it's not, it's with respect to the motion, so how can I do it after the motion?
You have a question about the motion. Want the motion to repeat it again?
No, I have a concern about the motion.
The
because
motion was clear.
The law says, no, because of mistakes in law, the law says.
Roll
that-
call, please. You can start the other roll call, Ms. Wilson.
It's electronic and paper ballot, so.
Mr.
it would
Wilson,
have to
call
be
the
an
roll, please.
amendment. There would have to be an amendment to the law.
Things will be cleared up.
Roll call, Mr. Liliana Bernardo, Leonida.
Yes.
Robert Molina.
Yes.
Reverend Brian.
Yes.
Reverend Webster. Yes. Mrs. Lisa Harris Moore.
Now the motion is Crawford. Crawford is the present law.
Rupert Ross Jr.
No.
Mr. Raymond Williams.
No.
Chairman, we have 4 yeas and 3 nays. Motion carried.
Motion is carried, stating clearly that if the machines are not purchased according to the agreement that was signed, PS200 machines, by the end of the date mentioned, that the only instrument that this board of election may use is the one prescribed by law that take a ballot. So that is what we let them know, and we let the joint board know, and the joint board will decide if they want to play the same game with this ADA compliance and this compliance in town, because it's clear that the law states that only AAC machine shall be used in the primary and general election in 7324. And I heard Mr. Ross and members, Moorhead and Mr. Williams, in Frederickstead, when the question was asked, why did you use the machine? Did Buckley ask, Senator Buckley asked, is the machine that they use the EEC for the Fed? The answer was no. The question was asked why, and somebody said, because the AG instructed us to use them. That's the same AG that instructed the board members to follow the required signatures for the recall of individuals, and the board members decided it wasn't following it, so we're going to do something else. We're not going to put on that. So if this body voted to make a statement clearly, it would be clear to Ms. Tiffany Barnes, the governor, the AG, and all involved, that this board is not going to allow the procrastination and delaying of spending the HAVA money under the guise that they did in St. Thomas to acquire the DS200. Their contract has already been signed. We had it here being told that Mr. Abramson told Mr. Ross, told Mr. Abramson told Mr. Weber to pay for the machine. Mr. Weber paid other contracts to include Mr. Patrick Phillips some $80,000 for the machine to repair. And the same Mr. Weber came right here and told us that he did not pay because when he checked with Attorney Salisbury, she told him it would not be a wise thing to do because somewhere along the line, the ADA report did not reflect from the state report had some conflict as to what really took place. Attorney Salisbury came right here and said she told Jimmy Weber not to pay. So that's where we are as far as paying the ESNS contract after the letter was written to Mr. John Abramson. So whatever letter goes to Mr. John Abramson from anybody, if he don't turn it in here, he chooses who he wants to give it to. I haven't seen any other correspondence from Mr. John Abramson from the AG to respond to what the Attorney General on record would respond to, or what Attorney Salisbury or this board is responding to Mr. Representative from ESNS, from the machine, from the DS200 and equipment. So if we right here to that state, I think we need to act responsibly. Ms. Moorhead.
Two things, one on the ADA and one on the machines. With respect to the machines, all we have to do is effectuate the payment. The board sat here and everybody said, Mr. Weber, go ahead and pay it. Unfortunately, he quit that Monday, so I don't know what transpired, if anything, from that Friday afternoon to Monday. But all we have to do is pay them, and that's not an issue. But what is the issue with the machines, and we haven't addressed it at all, is all we have on that contract for the machines, and we changed the default books with the same company. The problem we have, though, is you will have people standing with the machine, with a piece of paper, voting in clear view of everybody else if we don't order ancillary equipment. That means that other polling booths like we have for people with physical disabilities, not necessarily that same paper style, but something that ensures that their vote will be private. So that's what this board needs to look into, because with just the machines, we're still going to have a problem. With respect to the ADA, there was a inspection of this office by the feds prior to the primary election, as a result of which the ramp was built. The problem that this office may have, the feds were not here when there was a meeting. So the issues are with the meeting. So whether or not we could meet someplace else in this building or not hasn't been explored. So we're not non-compliant with ADA as far as the public coming in. But if you have a meeting like we did when Ms. Barnes was here, where we have double tables or triple tables or whatever, the issue is the passage of a wheelchair around the tables at a meeting. That does not make this building ADA non-compliant. With respect to meetings, I think, yes, we may indeed have an issue, but that was not something that the feds addressed at the time that they said the building is compliant. So we are not in compliance presently. And with respect to ADA, it's a federal law. There is no local law. We're required, because it's a federal law, to adhere to it. So Warren's role is to, assist the governor and identifying whatever, but it would be the federal officials that would have to do an inspection, I guess, at the time we have full occupancy or whatever, to make a determination that is yet to be done.
Except that you are a board member, and you don't work for the federal government as an inspector and enforcer. None of us works there. And I know about clearly. And I read the report.
But does she-
Can I finish, please?
What is the point of that? I don't understand.
If
I mean,
you
I'm
will let me
trying to
finish, you'll hear my
understand.
point now.
Okay.
I'm saying to you, none of us work for the federal government and ADA compliance. You saying what you believe, that's your belief, that's your opinion. I am saying what the young lady told us. Can I finish, ma'am?
You can say what you're saying, but she doesn't work for the.
Well, you see,
feds
that's the
either.
same fault, but you want
But
to
she
talk
doesn't
what I
work for the
talking.
feds. She works for the governor's office, so I don't know why you're trying to throw something in there that's not.
But what you
part
want
of
to
the
know, I'm saying, I'm
conversation,
listening to you
because you're
speak.
confusing the issue.
I'm listening to you speaking. I sat here when you spoke. Will you let me finish, please?
Yeah, but you're mischaracterizing.
You
what
see,
I
you
said.
see, you don't have the authority on my characterization of anything.
I didn't say that. I'm saying, I know what I said and you're mischaracterizing.
Could you finish the discussion,
what I
please?
said.
I am speaking now, man. I'm saying to you and anybody in here, none of us work for the federal government for 88 compliance. Ms. Barnes came here with a document. She read the information, she told us where she worked. She mentioned the non-compliance that she observed as an enforcement officer. Where she works, she don't work here, she works at the governor's office. And I know in the same governor's office and individuals in this building and the supervising election office that continue to procrastinate in acquisition of the new machine from way back. I'm simply making it clear that I know what Ms. Barnes said, and it was not surprising that she popped up unannounced when Ms. Wells, the joint chairman who prepared the agenda, said she had a presentation to make about her ADA President and Enforcement Authority, when she said she was suggesting, and would suggest, that we don't keep no meeting in St. Paul, we keep it at St. Thomas. She said all those things. And she went further to outline some of the things for the wheelchair and the bathroom and the signs in the wall. She said that. I don't know who didn't hear her, but we have convenient listening, but I'm saying, I know that the lady made it clear. And again, as far as the ADA is compliant, that's her job. My job is to take what she says, recommend the changes to the supervised election. This building is not our property. It is Sonny Isles Limited Development LLC. I don't know who the owners are. I think it was sold to somebody somewhere. And they have a responsibility to maintain it and build it. We cannot have people walking in here if they're knocking down these walls, removing things in the bathroom under the condition. You can't have to shut the office down for that purpose. And the board, I am not going to vote to shut the board down because they're doing repairs to the property. Again, as far as the money is concerned, it is clear to me that the Inspector General report was clear. What was done and what was said was clear, and I'm not going to back and forth over who was right and who was wrong. I know that there's a deliberate attempt being going on here between St. Croix and St. Thomas through the governor's office when the commissioner of property procurement select a committee from in February. Mr. Ross was there, Alicia wasn't there, they selected a contractor, and from then July 9th and July 10th documents were signed. Again, the Attorney General waited until after the election, November 23rd, 2012, to send the governor's notice that they have been reviewed for legal sufficiency by Attorney Salisbury. That was the 23rd of November after the general election. So if somebody can explain the delay. Again, if Mr. Aaron is not available, and I don't see him, and I can't call him because he's under doctor's care until May 31st, the only time I see John Nicholson, I saw him last in Frederickstead in the concession serving in the park when they had the judge. And I think those of us who've been in the sun. So I don't know complain to come again in the fourth again. So I don't know what is going on. But I know as far as this board is concerned, we need to have responsible back and forth conversation. I don't have no problem with anybody trying to put their version or their opinion. But when I say something, that's how I feel, and that's my record of it, a recollection. Anybody have a different recollection, it's fine with me. But your recollection can't correct what I said, because I don't want to correct your collection of what took place. So it's simply put that each of us have our own way to understand and interpret what it is. But I still maintain that Ms. Attorney Millen was notified of the statement of Ms. Barnes, and we need to do something rather than wait until we are told. And if there was an inspection with the federal government. I have yet to see that inspection from any federal government employee that inspected the building. Changing the sidewalk to come in here.
Stop.
Hold, talk about this. Changing the sidewalk in the parking lot to come in the building is not sufficient because Ms. Bond was speaking about the building inside, and the bathroom, and the hallway, and the lobby, and the wheelchair, and other things. And I'm not the enforcement inspector for it. We'll move on.
Sir.
Chairman,
Yes, sir. Mr. Ross?
on a procedural issue, so that I could be clear to all of the act, when a motion is made and seconded, we would vote on it prior to discussion that we just did in the future, or is that your procedural norm?
The procedure is basically Robert's rule. It's a prerogative of the chair to so note the objection if there was one, or for you to explain your objection in the record, or to vote a roll call. That was exercised anyway in any meeting I've been in the legislature, but right in here, I've had objection, and we went on, so noted. You go in court, objection, so noted. You go any way, and I'm saying so, if there's an objection, I said so noted, and can you explain your objection? Ms. Monet just did, that would be put in roll call, she said what she said just now. So it's on the record what she said. So her opinion, or her explanation, why she voted no, is still in the record because she was said
She
it
did
anyway.
not object.
No, that's what I
She
said.
did not object.
She just said, qualification, but Mr. Ross,
I
go
had
ahead.
discussion, which was
Yeah,
not
but you did not
allowed.
object to
But
the
there was no
motion, so
discussion
you were out
allowed.
of place.
Mr. Ross, continue.
So, just again for clarity,
Okay, thank you.
I'm not debating.
Okay, all right.
It is your, from what you just said, when a motion is made, seconded, you will determine whether we go to roll call or whether or not members can seek clarity or make a statement. Is that your
The
position?
prerogative of the chair,
The
I
prerogative
asked
of the chair.
if you need the motion to be restated, and she said, no, I have a comment. That's what she said.
Okay.
She wasn't
I'm not
questioning
talking-
the understanding of his motion.
And it was not an objection
Good.
as
She
far as
didn't-
I'm
okay.
concerned.
Again, I'm not
Okay.
here about discussing what has occurred.
Right, the prerogative of
I'm
the
looking
chair
down
to
the chair.
exercise the roll call, the motion, who recognizes the motion, or the point of order. Mr. Williams.
I want to get back to the information, the conversation about ADA compliance. Again, notwithstanding everything you said, the bottom line is that every government entity has a responsibility in this 2013 year to do a self-evaluation and transition plan. That is the information that Stephanie Barnes shared with the board at the joint boards meeting. What I am suggesting that we do, and I'm willing to reduce it to a motion, is that absent of the leadership in the Security District Elections Office, that the board make and conduct such, start working towards such an evaluation.
What's wrong with that? You finished? You said, I want to make sure I understand you clearly. You said, notwithstanding what was said,
Right.
you go to make a motion absent the leadership of this board,
So that we can move
so
forward.
that I can move forward, having said
I or
evaluation. Eh?
I or we,
You said we, that's what you
Yes,
said.
yes.
You said absent
of the
leadership.
leadership.
What is the leadership of the board?
I said of the office, not the
Which
board.
office? Of this board.
Office, not the
Elections,
office, you mean the election system.
Which is separate from the board.
Tell us what you're talking about.
I did, I was clear. I didn't, you know, where is there not being understanding?
Tell
I've
us-
suggested, what I clearly suggested, and I'm not going to compete with the peanut gallery. Okay? I clearly suggested that absent of the leadership in the office, that the board moves forward to implement such a 3-year self-evaluation and transition plan. We have the guidelines to do so. We can do it as a board. We can start the process. Because obviously it's a major concern, and that is something that we can start. Every government entity has to do it. This is not limited to the board or to this election system. It is government-wide.
Okay, so then, I don't think the motion is necessary. We have an AD.
Right, and that's
we
what
have
I'm
a
saying.
gentleman here, Mr. Webster.
Well, I said it, I think it's not to appoint anybody individual, I think we collectively can start that process.
I prefer to have a committee name, just like Ms. Wells name a committee to election reform.
Whatever, I'm just putting it up.
Personal. So before we finish today, I would come with some names or any volunteer to work on the self-evaluation of the ADA compliance. But regardless of who's on there, I'm going to name Mr. Webster the chairman since he have knowledge of been working closer with the ADA people than anybody here. So when we get to that stage, we will just go ahead.
Yeah, question, I'm not understanding his,
I thought I was the only one in that stuff.
because what I thought he said was different from what you just said. He said a self-evaluation and transition plan which would include not only ADA but other issues. Am I wrong?
No, if you, let me borrow this on please. This document that each of you sitting here received from Stephanie Barnes highlights exactly what needs to be done. That's what I'm saying.
You don't dispute on nothing.
But, so,
So Ms. Mohammed says you want to be clarified as to what
because I
you're
wasn't
speaking
clear,
to.
he said a transition plan, and he didn't specifically say for ADA, and that's all I'm trying to
That's what I wanted
clarify.
to get to.
So is it just for ADA, or are you talking about, as we discussed in the other, in your committee, a transition plan with respect to the entire office's function?
I'm speaking specific, the plan as it relates to this entity,
This
the election
building?
system.
Well, yeah, but again, he's saying just ADA. You're saying just ADA.
Everything in the transition plan relates to, basically what it tells you is, this is where you're at, this is where you're gonna end up. That's what the transition plan
Only with
is.
respect to the ADA, that's all I'm asking. Is it
Yes,
either
yes,
or no?
well, but then
Okay.
it's so we're clear now? And what I'm
So
suggesting?
you asked the question, I want to be sure. And Ms. Mohammed says you wanted to be clear, and you just wanted to be sure it's on the record what we were speaking before. So now, Mr. Mohammed, are you clear what Mr. Williams?
Yeah, I'm clear, but the reason for my question is that I believe that the ADA issues need to be addressed, but I also think that there are other issues with respect to.
For
this-
instance?
Well, the machines that we need to, the accompanying equipment that we need to get, the changing of the, we have to set a timeline, which we haven't addressed in any meeting, for all of the election reform that needs to be in by June, as I mentioned, because that's when the legislature is going to address election reform, at least according to Senator Malone. So, we need to set some kind of timeline for, I'm not saying ignore ADA issues, but I'm saying there may be some other issues that take priority. And I would think machines and the accompanying equipment with respect to the machines, seeing if the legislature, who is the one that passed the law about the money, can be held to task to, challenge the executive branch, because I don't know how the legislature makes a law and the executive branch can ignore it, just through a letter from OMB. All of those issues are things that are hamstringing us. I'm not throwing out ADA, I'm just saying the scope, I believe the scope is bigger, and that's why I was asking the question, because I thought he was addressing more than, I'm not saying not just.
And that is because for the years gone, 20 or more, the Board of Election has subordinated the authority of the independent board to the executive branch to do what they want when it comes to funding. And I am saying that nobody in the budget office can dictate how an independent board functions without we taking a position. When the time comes, we need, I believe Mr. Weber made it clear to Ms. Gottlieb about what we needed, but nonetheless we need a collective body for the joint board to let the budget director understand that we are not willing to subordinate our authority of the independent board when it comes to running our finances or the function of the board. We must take that position. We cannot allow a budget director who nobody elected to solve, to tell us, an independent agency, that you can only spend 10 cents out of $20. That's not their job. And as long as we go along and subordinate ourselves like the Senate has been doing, working hand in hand with the executive to let the executive make appropriation, approve appropriation, and then the budget director dictate which appropriation will be made available to who they want, we need to stop that as a body. And I'm willing, if all of us want to, collectively with the joint board, to let the governor and Ms. Gottlieb know, hey, hold your brakes now. We are demanding, and we get the court to let you understand that you are not the enforcer of our money. The legislation was passed, the source of funding was identified, you borrowed the loans, you made the funds available. We need our $2.1 million to have it in place. And if we're not going to do that, we're playing into the hands of the budget director. Nobody elected us. So I'm sure you know, as an attorney working with, I've been saying that for years, no budget director on the revised can dictate our independent instrumentality function, even to the fact that the attorney can tell us when and where what to do. We don't need to have those things. So if we may hire an attorney and we don't have the money to may hire, then we run the same problem with Mr. McCain that he might not get here because we don't have our money according to the budgeted law. And until we get that done, we're playing games with the governor and budget director. So I don't have no problem if anybody can make a motion today to let the budget director them know that we want our money, it is appropriated, it has been identified, and we want our money now. And we don't have to move from there. Then we can find a way to get it. I don't have no problem with that.
I just have a point of clarification.
Mr. Webster.
Okay, now, if,
See, I said the motion.
I didn't,
I have a question.
go ahead with the motion. You, Mr. Webster.
Okay, if,
You, Mr. Webster, let Mr. Moore, since you have a motion.
Yeah. My motion is to at least find out what, if somebody, just feel free to amend it. I'm saying it this way because I don't know what's been done, is to find out what correspondence has been sent to Ms. Gottlieb with respect to the releasing of our funds. If it's not adequate, that we initially send another letter copying the legislature on it to find out under what authority she is withholding the money that was legally appropriated to the board.
So then, if I understand you correctly, rather than this board doing it separately would be the best thing to have it made as a joint board meeting, so the whole joint board can put the budget director and the government on notice.
Well,
Because what we do this year, you're going to end up that it's in the approval of the joint board to the thing. And the letters, as far as I know, when I had budget hearings, I don't know what was mentioned there. Mr. Weber abruptly left. He didn't leave any documentation. Even the keys that he left, he didn't turn it over to anybody. He don't have no report that I can find in there about anything. So we'll have to find out from Mr. Weber about what these things are he did, because I know he told me he was writing or drafting correspondence to Ms. Gottlieb outlining our needs as far as related to finances. So if he didn't leave it, he didn't give it to me. And if I call, you could call Ms. Blanca Malula, you could call them one by one and ask them if they received anything from Mr. Weber in writing, or if Mr. Abraham gave them anything in writing that he responded to the letter from ESN. I don't know that. I haven't seen them in that thing.
Well, that's why I was saying it that way, but I mean, I know you, as chair, you can't make a motion or amend it, but I would accept that as an amendment to the motion to restate it to say that, we make this the motion is to make a recommendation to the joint board that we take some serious steps, whatever the joint board decides to, correct the situation.
Would you prefer to outline some of the steps so we can have it clear?
One is to find out what correspondence exists between this office and the OMB director. Two, follow up on that response, on that correspondence if there is none. If there is none, to do our own initial letter as a board, as a joint board, inquiring under what authority she's withholding the money.
That's the motion. There a second? Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Mr. Ross, roll call, Ms. White.
Mr. Gibber, no man.
Sure. The motion is clear.
no,
Member Moorhead is saying
it's a
that
recommendation
to
to
the
the
joint
joint board.
board that we find out at the meeting if there was any correspondence to the budget director or previous response to or from about our monies.
The president for the money, yeah.
Right. And to have it done at a joint board meeting collectively. That's basically what she was saying. Yes, Mr.
Quite a
Moorhead.
clarification to the board. Well, is it possible for us to just simply reach out to the chair and ask her to address correspondence immediately?
Okay.
Yeah, I was saying that to have her immediately address a letter to the OMB director. to resolve that issue without, instead of having to wait till we meet as a joint board to then take that action.
Well, the reason I would before that we do the motion, I wrote Ms. Wells on February 26th, today is April 3rd, or whatever it is. So she takes the long to answer the question the night before that this board goes and notice collectively, letting the joint chair know what our position is as a board versus I or anybody calling on the phone or writing. And that would be my preference. Now, if the members want to vote, otherwise I don't have no problem with that. So. Roll call, Mr.
Roll call. Motion, Mr. Leon Ballard, O'Neill.
Yes.
Roland Malinar.
Yes, yes.
Delbert, Brian.
Yeah.
McLean Webster, yes, absolutely. Mr. Lisa Moorhead.
Yeah.
Rupert Ross Jr.
Yeah.
Serena Williams.
Yes.
Motion?
Motion is a
unanimous vote. The motion carries. Member Moorhead.
Yes, I make a motion that we, as a district board, look into immediately the cost of the numbers of voting booths, so that we could have some information by the joint board meeting to share with the joint board with respect to what would be needed to facilitate the use of the machines we have on contract.
That's your motion?
Yes.
Well, I asked a question before you proceed, because I remember the last time you said no in St. Thomas, he gave us a brochure, those various folding books on the cardboard, stuff, aluminum and all those things. And I think they had something shown around somewhere here. I don't know the quantity of them here, and I will have to wait until Ms. Johnson gets back from vacation. And for the record, anyone know when Ms. Johnson come back? Is that William?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. When she comes back, I can find out from her she has that information. If not, we can get in touch with Mr. Matthew Wilson to find out the amount of the and the cost, preferable cubic foot of polling equipment to put around the DS200.
Well, I'm trying to understand what you said. With respect to, are you saying that we have some of them here? We only have 2 per poll here.
That's what I'm saying.
Of the cardboard things, and I'm not sure because I don't know what other, because we were just using those for a specific purpose. Perhaps there are better ones. What I'm just suggesting, in case I wasn't clear, is that we look into what are available and then try to make a determination based on our polling places, because that's another thing we need to do, is to assess our numbers at polling sites, because again, we have to redetermine what polling sites are going to be those on.
Except
this island. But wait a second, just so in terms of quantity, I mean, yeah, we could ask the vendor, they'll probably recommend the most expensive thing, but I mean, I'm just saying if we do some research prior to, that was all.
Except that we have over abundance of the Ghana 1242. But these about 43 DS200 machines used. So therefore, the amount of the DS200 that will be used per polling place would be reduced immensely. And I don't know what the quantities of those cardboard polling things are. So that's what I'm saying, we need to get in touch with the manufacturer, Mr. Matthew Nielsen, and when Ms. Johnson comes back to find out from her. Or if somebody can find Mr. A. Lumsden, since he was involved in the select committee, or somebody from property and procurement.
Well, I'm sorry, but I believe we ordered the amount we wanted. So the vendor again has nothing of the ones, the few that we have for,
You mean
right, the few that we have.
The order you said?
No. I'm saying the ones that we presently have, there is no amount that the vendor is going to tell us. We have to determine that based on the number of people at a particular polling place, even though you might have, and I don't know how it breaks down, if we have 43 machines, if it breaks down, that just for the sake of discussion, if it breaks down that you have 3 machines at a polling site, that doesn't mean you need 3 booths, because you need more booths for more people to vote. I mean, I'm hoping that we're not suggesting that, we just need the same number of things as we need machines, because people have to fill out their paper before they go to the machine.
Sure.
So we need a larger number, and that would be based on our population as opposed on a recommendation from, I mean, that's at least the way I see it.
Well, when Ms. Johnson,
from a vendor. But she has nothing to do with it.
She would look if there are already information relative to the system. She would be the one to tell us if Mr. Weber or Mr. Abramson had that information here. I don't have it. So that's what we're waiting to find out from her when she comes in, if Mr. Johnson, Mr. Abramson, or Mr. Weber left that information that you were speaking about before you speak.